John, the change of Prime Minister didn't calm public anger. Has this announcement done the job?
I think it has. There's a sense of cautious optimism in the capital, and although tonight the army and the police are seen all over the city, you can drive pretty much from Fourth Circle in the center of Amman to anywhere you want without getting stuck with protests or with a heavy security presence, which has been the case all week. So in the short term, yes, everyone seems slightly mollified, but the truth is, underlying the change in Prime Minister, there are still systematic problems in the country. Unemployment is at 18%. The carrying capacity of the state in regard to providing water and energy and looking after the 1.3 million Syrian refugees that have entered over the past few years, all of these problems still exist. And they're probably much bigger than any one Prime Minister or any series of changes that can take place over the coming weeks or months. In fact, it's probably going to be a decade of change for these domestic issues in Jordan to actually really be sorted out in any substantial way.
Now, it was the IMF that wanted the Jordanian government to implement these measures and these reforms because, of course, Jordan owes the IMF money. How much leeway does the new Prime Minister have with the IMF?
I think it's a difficult question. I mean, Omar Al Razzaz is very popular in Jordan. He spearheaded some education reforms that received a lot of positive feedback. At the same time, he has a World Bank pedigree, and I imagine that pedigree might give him some advantages when talking with and liaising with the IMF on how Jordan's loan going forward will be renegotiated. There is also two facts here, though, that are probably important to bear in mind. The first is that Jordan is a key Western ally. The Middle East at the moment is very diplomatically unsure, with the relationship with Saudi Arabia and the Trump administration really shaking things up, as well as the Jerusalem move, as well as the recent pulling out of the Iran deal. So I imagine the international community wouldn't want to upset Jordan too much in regard to the IMF loan. And there is also the additional fact that the IMF does have a checkered history in the region, both in Egypt, in Sudan, and in Tunisia. And I'm sure during negotiations with the IMF, stakeholders there will be aware that perhaps a softly approach, taking it one step at a time and playing the long game, might actually be more in the IMF's interest rather than upsetting the apple cart and creating an even worse domestic situation here in Jordan.
John Lillywhite in Amman, thank you very much indeed.